All right, welcome back to the Lego Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Dylan, and this is my special guest, Ben Stiles. Today, we're going to be doing the Ferrari 512M from 1970. I'm not a huge fan of Ferrari, so I don't know a lot about it. I'm more of a classic American muscle guy myself. What about you? What kind of style of cars were you into?
Everything.
Yeah?
Everything.
So, when you growing up, what was like the dream car to have?
I would say a Countach all the way through and through.
Countach?
Yeah, all the way.
Oh man. So, did you watch the show Wolf on Wall Street? The
Honestly,
movie?
no, I didn't actually. My wife and I were too busy traveling the country trying to do our own thing, and we never got a chance to stop and do it. Our kids were little.
That's awesome. Um, well, the reason I brought it up was they had this badass all white Countach, and the scene he just destroyed it. It is quite comical, but it was so heartbreaking at the same time because it was a beautiful car. But so you mentioned travels. Where'd you start? Like, when did you start traveling? Was that something that you knew you wanted to do at a young age, or did you just fall into like a career that led to much travel?
Actually, my father, he was a traveling construction worker, pipeliner,
Uh
so
huh.
he would go and leave the house probably anywhere from 3 months, 6 months, 8 months until I was old enough age to where um, I was able to go along. You know,
Those are some pretty big stints too.
Oh yeah, very long time. So a lot of my childhood was honestly is it's not depressing sounding, but I was always by myself hanging out with my mom and I'd see my dad in the evening when he was just dead tired after work.
Right.
So
As a father, I can relate to that part. Even being around, like, I'm here, I'm not traveling, which I have, but you only maybe an hour by the time you shower, dinner, everything, and depending on the commute, every job's got a different commute. You barely get an hour to spend with the baby before you have to go to bed, get up early, do it again.
mhm.
So that was been really hard having to deal with that. On top of only knowing like, all right, well he's home for this amount of time and then he's gonna be gone for 6 months or whatever.
Right, so like I would, my father he would leave and he would say, "Okay, you're the man of the house." And of course I was little then, anywhere
Right.
from 7 to 8 years old somewhere in there. And I would take care of the farm, take care of the animals, take care of everything, work with the co-op and help them get grain in the silo, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, so what kind of area did you grow? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Durango, Colorado.
Okay, so this doing silos and such. Were you on a farm?
My dad had I say farm. It's a small farm, but it was a lot of work for one kid.
I
When he
got you.
wasn't
Yeah,
there. So my mother and I, we would shuffle our horses. We had at one point 15 head of horse, and
that's not too small. That's quite a bit.
it was a pain in the butt. I'm not gonna lie. So then we would shuffle horses from the high mesa down to our family barn, and we'd flip flop back and forth depending on how hay was growing, water, all that other stuff. And it being my mom back then driving the 1976 Olive is what we called it. It was a Ford F-350,
Uh huh.
and we would go down this icy road, and of course my mom was not happy because my dad was gone, and it would just be me and her hustling horses and running the trailers, running the trucks, running the
Yep.
fields. It was just, you know, some days were good, some days were bad.
I
Like
definitely get that.
like one year, my mother and I we were bringing the firewood from the high mesa down to the house, and thank God it wasn't horses. And we're coming down this one little hill, and we've gone down it 100 times, right? 4-wheel drive, chains, the whole 9 yards, and there was
Doubled
nothing.
up with chains and four-wheel drive.
Oh yeah, it was icy. We would get a lot of snow when I was young.
I never grew up in a place that got that kind of weather.
No,
Not quite. But go ahead, carry
no,
on.
you're fine. And next thing you know, my mom just slaps her hand across my chest, and I'm seat belted in. What am I gonna do? Next thing you know, I look over to the side and I see the horse trailer coming around the side of the truck,
Oh
and
no!
it's filled with lumber. So I mean, it's not gonna hurt anything.
But
But
still,
yeah, so she just decides to floor the truck, goes flying around the corner, and tries to hope, like I would say Tokyo
get
drifted
around
before
it.
it wasn't a thing. Yeah,
Did
and
pull it off?
no, we went right in the ditch and we went down into the neighbor's yard down there, and we had to wait till spring to get the trailer out. There was no way to get it out.
Oh really?
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, I've definitely been in situations where you're like, all right, well, I guess this is gonna wait a few months.
Yeah.
I grew up on a ranch, quite large ranch, and a lot of head of cattle. But I was homeschooled for a couple years, and that's when I really got to work with my grandpa and stuff on the ranch. And man, there was a lot of miserable days. But it's super rewarding. Like now, the amount like being out in the cold, and you worked in the cold. I've worked in the cold. You build that tolerance back then, and it's not as hard as it would seem to be. Like people, you tell people, oh, I work outside. What in this weather? I'm like, yeah, it's just you got to do it. Like either way. And back then when that you got to do it mindset meant someone's gonna starve or something is gonna go out of water. You got to go break the ice buckets with rocks to make sure the animals have water. You know what I mean? You got to get the hay cut. You got to get grain moved.
Got
Fence fixed.
Yep. Oh yeah, you got to do everything.
I got to cross that freaking river of a creek right now. Somehow you're gonna figure it out.
Yep, I remember breaking all the water troughs with rocks, and then they finally upgraded to the electric heaters.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those things. Just leave them plugged in all winter. Didn't have to go out there every morning. That was nice. Yeah.
Yep. One time it got so thick the rocks were bouncing off. I had to get a claw hammer, start breaking at it. It got cold where I was from, but never below like we didn't get below freezing maybe a week or so. It was pretty mild. I grew up in like Northern California, a place called Red Bluff. It got very hot, but also mild in winter.
Yeah, so like where I grew up, it was complete opposite. So we had everything from high mesa is anywhere from 5 to 7,000 feet elevation. So you
is that Mesa, if I'm correct, that's like a plateau, but at a high elevation.
Yes. Yeah. So my dad's house was roughly I don't know, 60, 800 feet, and the high mesa, depending on where you were up 7,000, 75, or 8,000. I don't remember exactly. So you're really high up there.
Wow. And that's you feel that in your breath.
Oh yeah, it's frigid in the winter.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely breathtaking. Like when the sun would rise in the mornings. I mean, it would take your breath away. You'd see the mountains covered in snow, and you're up on the high mesa, but you're looking up at the Rockies like way up there, and they are glowing gold. I mean, they are gold color when the sun first rises. Yeah. So if you're out either tending horses, tending horse trucks, breaking ice, or even hunting for that matter, and you see your breath just leaving your body, and it's just slowly drifting away, and you see that first crack of the sun come over, man, it'll just make you smile.
There's nothing like good sunrise.
No. Every sunrise is a good sunrise, better than being in the ground.
Yeah. That's I think that's one of the best part about my job is being up. Sun, in the winter it really sucks. Especially like I worked up in Seattle, and it was up before the sun came up, and getting home after the sun went down. It was like, dang, it was 4:30 and dark. You're just getting in your car. But you got to watch all that, and from a vantage point, it's where you're like, and traveling all over the country, you see every kind of sunset because you're always working those kind of hours. So you get to watch it up above the tree line usually. Just it's beautiful. It's one of the things I appreciate the most.
Oh, it is. Have you ever worked in Alaska?
I have not.
Okay. I got you being on cold on that one. Yeah.
How was what was it like up there? I know a few people that have been up there.
It was breathtaking. I will say that. Like Denali National Park makes the Rocky Mountains look small.
Really?
It's beautiful. So my brother and I left Colorado, and we were going to a job up in Fairbanks, and this was the beginning of January. We had to be up there like February 1st. About this time of year. And well, up there it's still 30, 40 below zero. So
below zero.
Below zero, like really cold. So we load up our trucks, and we're going to drive all the way up there. Me and my brother, we're 19. And so my dad kicks us loose. He wasn't too worried about it. Mom was having a heart attack. And as we're driving up there, we're putting extra 10 gallons of diesel on the back of our trucks every fuel stop, because it's like an average of 150 to 300 miles between fuel stations up there. There's nothing on the way up there in the winter.
So you gotta make sure you have enough fuel. If you run out of fuel, you're gonna die.
You're gonna die. Yeah. So we had 2 trucks. In lieu, we went together, and then there are 2 experiences on this trip I will never forget. Minus not shutting the truck off ever, 24 hours a day. We get cruising up there, and my brother, he's in front of me on the CB, or excuse me, I'm behind. Let me think here. So he's behind me, I'm in front of him, and the white powder snow is fluffing up pretty good. It's probably 2 in the morning. We're out in the middle of nowhere. Satellite radio doesn't even work then up there. We tried it. It worked all the way till like, I don't know, 3 hours up into British Columbia, and then we started going out into the middle of nowhere. It quit. Yeah, there's nothing. So all of a sudden the CB radio chimes up. My brother's like screaming, pull over, just pull over. And I'm going, what's going on? And so I start slowing down, and I see headlights coming up in that white powdered snow behind me. It was a double tanker semi, and I'm not joking. We're doing about 50 on snow and ice, and it's fairly straight. This guy, he's not playing. He's doing like 90. Oh, it was scary. And then we're on the side of the road parked for like a good 10 minutes because it's just fluff.
You can't see anything.
No,
wide out.
You can't see. So if you're gonna keep going, you're gonna go right off the road. There's a turn, and you're so far out. You get stuck. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
So
everything, all consequences is if this death.
Yes.
Out there in Alaska, if there's an if at all, it's dead. You're dead. There's no if death.
Yeah.
You're gonna it's very severe. And that living with consequences like that, like growing up, knowing that these things like life really does have such severe consequences. I think a lot of people are sheltered to the fact of like what real life is and can be. And I think you have a reverence for, like you said, the sunrise every day. Like you understand. Okay, it's a beautiful day. Yeah. I'm still here because there's real consequences out there, and that's just life.
Right. I hate to reference Kung Fu Panda here, but remember where the old turtle Larry said, today is called the present because it's a gift?
Yes.
It's true.
It's a fact.
Yeah. Like just talking about like you with your daughter, I'm reliving my days doing the same thing you're doing here.
Yeah.
I'm down to a T. Traveling for work. Trying to feed a family, trying to make ends meet, and you're trying to get to where and like you said, where we are, and I know for a fact you can do it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be easy. Yeah, I know you'll do great, and I hope that you guys honestly like surpass what I've achieved.
Right.
I'd love to see you guys live in a mansion one day, or whatever you get, whatever your life brings you. I hope it gets you there.
That's a really cool that idea. It's like drop the famine mentality and actually like want to see people prosper beyond. Like I want to see you go beyond. Like I appreciate that. It's good to see real wholesome people that like not just like because a lot of times like for example like with working out like someone that's out of shape starts working out, you're totally about it. You're like, good for you. Then they get in the shape that you're in. You're like, oh, congratulations, you made it. Then they surpass you, and some people you'll start to see the attitude change into a negative mind, and you're like, well, why not see them do better than you? What is it? Like you should strive to see greatness in everybody.
You should, and like the crews that I have, they're great people. I have one guy. He's I won't say names or anything, but he's a big guy, and he's been trying to lose weight. He needs a hip replacement, and he has to lose 100 pounds. So I was like, hey, we have this new weight loss challenge. I said I'm entering it. We need a team of 5. Let's get other people in it. So we have 5 people doing it, and he's already down almost 20 pounds in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
He's rocking it, and I'm like, dude, I hope you keep going. I hope you keep going. So we're pushing him. Hey, let's weigh in. Let's do this. And now we're piggybacking off each other. And it's like, I want to see him be able to walk well again. He's having trouble. He's having to lift his like side. He's hurt. And I'm sure you can contest with your knee brace.
Yep. So I definitely know. And I also had a boss that had to have since we worked together. Actually, at the Intel job where we worked at together, he worked there. And was doing that, and he wasn't overweight or anything, but he was ex-Marines and just like the amount of pack they got to carry and just the rugged nature of their rigorous training and then just going through life being an iron worker on top of that. He just had blown out his hip, but it was like trying to rehab and this and that. And finally he got it replaced, and now he's like smiling again, happy, walking around, feeling decent. Yeah.
Yes. So like our guy, he'll take his feet and they'll shuffle, you know. And he has trouble. Well, the other week it was like this, you know, that kind of pace, just real slow. Now I can see this. He's moving. His shirts are getting thin.
That's good.
I mean, I haven't lost nearly as much. I'm only down like 6-7 pounds, but I need to get back down to 200. Sitting at a desk now versus doing what we used to do, like crawling iron, welding, running chains, slings, helping with the crane, whatever. Always moving, and I'm not, you know.
So we keep mentioning your work and stuff, and I want to get back to the originally asked you like when you start traveling and whatnot. And you got into your dad was traveling, and so you do what not what you do now, but what was your entire career? Like what was your classification?
So my classification is
what would you call yourself? Pipe welder, rig welder? It's just a welder in general, all around.
No, I was a pipeline building trades journeyman.
Okay.
So I could do the pipeline, the pipeline rig work, isometric drawings, so detailer. I don't know if you know what that is.
Oh yeah.
So I could do detail work, and then I went and got my inspection degree. So I was a welder, inspector, detailer, so on and so forth, and did that throughout my whole career. I kind of followed in my dad's footsteps because he brought up a point. He goes, when you go out into the construction field or any field you're in, he said, I want you to not look at the one that's like, like run of the mill, you can kind of get into it easy. He said, aim for the one that pays the most. And once you get to there, pass it. He said, surpass it if you can. Same thing. My dad was really cool.
That kind of so that mindset was passed down.
Yeah. My dad was always supporting anything I did. I remember he was doing what I did, traveling the country, welding, and he was up here in Pasco, and I was 16 down in Durango, Colorado. I called him up and I said, "Hey, Dad, I've been training on my motorcycle because I used to race motocross when I was younger.
Okay.
And I was never an all-star by any means, but for my skill level, I felt confident enough. I called him up and I said, "Hey, I think I can win this one." My dad was so damn cool. He went on ahead and quit his job because they wouldn't let him go, and he came down and watched me race, and I won.
No way.
Yeah,
he drove. That's what it's about.
Right.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
And honestly, I hope my dad one day sees this podcast. I don't know if he will or not, but I think the world of him. We don't exactly talk anymore, but he was killer. I mean, awesome. Like best friend, best dad ever. I mean, it was awesome.
That's really good. It's easy to get lost in the work. I gotta do it. Sorry, I'm out here. This, gotta get the money. This job, whatever it is. And that's the beautiful thing about like our lines of work, our trades that we do. Well, I'm just gonna have to quit then. I'm gonna give it time. There'll be another job.
You can always make more money. You can't make the memory.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, heck, I just made a bunch of memories with your family when they came up here. Came back up from California. Your dad did, and he's up here working on stuff. And props to your dad for wanting to fix this thing without a machine. But I'm like, no, I'll get a machine.
Yep. I grew up. My dad was a mechanic, and so I actually had him on the podcast. It was really cool to talk to him about more. He wasn't a man of few words growing up, but showed his and like more of the type of respect you gain as an adult, as a man. And you're like, okay, I see. He showed his love differently, but he was always at the games. He wouldn't be a man of very few words, but he was always working. He was working on the weekends. Oh, you guys want to go do that? We don't have money for that. Instead of that, he was like, I'm gonna find a car to work on. I'm gonna do this or whatever broke at the house. I guess I could pay for someone to do it. That'd be way easier. But they want to go do this type of activity, so we're just gonna fix it ourselves. And like you see that shit later in life. You're like, and then especially being a parent myself now, it's like, okay, I totally get that.
Yeah, and speaking of parenthood, watching you and your family grow, it brings back. You see me light up when I see your little one, because now they're just like, oh, I'm a teenager. You don't know anything, and now it's like I see the little one, and she's just so happy to say hi and smile. Yeah, and like I tell you, cherish it, because when they get older, they're great, but they'll make you want to rip your hair out. I promise.
Yeah. I just look back at when I was like 15, high school, middle school. Ooh, scares me.
It does. Like it was kind of interesting. So the girls did a Tolo dance, which I don't know what Tolo stands for.
Neither do I.
But it's the girls are supposed to ask the guy out, right?
Okay.
So they went and did that, and when they came out in their dresses, I'm going, oh no, you're almost full grown. Oh beep, you know what I mean? Just like, oh no, you need to stop.
Yeah.
It's not cool, but at the same time though, as you get to this age, and Dylan, I'm speaking from experience now, is you now want them to learn, but you still want them to, you want to learn and make small mistakes, and then adjust their life accordingly.
Right.
Not big ones, just guide them as much as you can.
Make it small. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So honestly, as bad as it sounds, I hope my daughter dates some guy that's just not worth the time, and then she realizes what she truly wants. And the other day, how do I word it? She comes up to me and she goes, Dad, why do some guys wear skinny jeans? And I don't have an answer. They like them? I don't know. And she goes, they act kind of strange. I'm like, and I don't know what to tell you. I'm not in high school anymore. And she goes, yeah, I'm not going to date one of those. I'm like, okay. I don't know what she's going with this, but it's like, and now the terminology, now they're cracking up jokes that were like, our dad's jokes are now coming through. History's repeating itself.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Then the whole kid thing is so weird. Like having to figure out like schools and you start paying attention to things in the news differently. You're like, I was talking to my physical therapist, and her daughters are in high school and middle school, same as yours, 15, and then one's in middle. They're always into softball. She never stops moving. She's like, I gotta go pick them up from softball. There's indoor softball. There's winter softball, summer softball. I'm like, jeez, it's so much sports. And that's not any of their extra, like, and doing the homework, and on top of that, like
they get wore out. But if you keep pushing them to where they want to meet their goals and they still want to do their sport, that's honestly a way to do it. It's like, you love your sport, do your homework, right? And we're very fortunate. Our girls do their homework, they do what they're supposed to. But like doing the now competitive cheerleading when they were both on the same team, we were ping-ponging all around the United States. We were, we went
your wife's going to Vegas, yeah?
Yeah, she's going to, and this will be the very first competition I will not be there with my daughter. The very first. So, she's like, I want you to go, and I said, I want to go, but we have a mortgage to pay, and we can't afford it right now. So we got a huge, because we just refinanced, so our payment has increased. So it's
for a shorter.
Yeah. So we went from a 27 to a 15, and now we're down to like, I think 10 and a half years left.
That's awesome.
We're cranking it out. I want this mortgage gone.
Yep.
So that way I can have some more.
Yeah,
it's freedom, all right. So you mentioned when you were ironworking, what parts of the country did you float around in?
Well, that story has kind of goes back to the question I asked you. Like, is it something that you wanted to do all your life? Is it something that was done, like you said, your dad traveled, so you knew traveling, and then he took you with him, and so we raised rodeo bulls. And so I grew up not always doing rodeo myself. I did enter in a few ropings and rode a couple bulls here and there, but mainly raised them and ran the rodeos. And I got to the point where that's what every summer. Even it was more like probably 9 months out of the year. But every weekend, going to a rodeo, traveling all different towns all over Nevada, California, once or twice in Arizona, I think, and then Klamath Falls. And so there was a couple up in little small towns I wouldn't even know in Oregon, Eastern Oregon or Southern Oregon. And so I just always knew I wanted something, especially after the '08 recession. Like, okay, I watched all these home construction guys like that did general contracting and whatnot, and I watched all that fail and all these homes get abandoned around us. And my dad was a mechanic, so he never stopped working. His job was never in jeopardy. But I watched all these like trades jobs just disappear in this small town, and I grew up like, okay, found welding, that's what I wanted to do. And then I had this other thing that cowboy and didn't make any money, but I love that lifestyle, always traveling and getting to see the whole country and being in a small town. I knew there was more, like there had to be more, and just wanted to experience it. I never wanted to be that person, which I never was because we traveled. But I'd met people in those small towns and rodeos, like, oh, I've never left the county, and they're in their 30s and 40s. I'm like, that's so depressing. Like, just the road trip here was amazing. I can't believe you never left your county. And so
some people never do.
Yeah. And they're just like, yeah, I'm comfortable, and they are. Some people are just real homebodies or hermits.
Yeah. But there's so much in the world to see.
Yeah.
Like traveling doing the rodeo thing. We traveled doing the pipeline thing. I saw all the United States. We lived in almost every single state except for Kentucky, and obviously Hawaii.
Who wants to live in Kentucky?
My friend lives in Bowling Green. Okay.
Hey, I mean,
it's a nice town.
It's cheap land. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Flat. It's very flat.
You know, they always joke around. You know, everyone over there is missing some teeth, and then of course Kentucky folk, they say it's West Virginia. So each their own.
Right.
But traveling it opens up your eyes to what's actually out there, and the ocean was the one thing for me that I couldn't get over fear of flying over that much water. It took me years.
Really?
Last year, as you know, we've talked in the past, where we went over there to France. I was scared to death for like the first hour and a half after we left land. And then after that, I finally fell asleep. Finally.
My goal is to fall asleep on every flight.
How often does that happen?
I'm pretty good at it. I try and get red eyes. It's easy.
I'm up all night.
Oh man.
I was
especially if you have like a fear of like going over bodies of water. It's not gonna help you get to sleep.
No, it's not. But the drinks were good.
So yeah, I figured there's a few involved. That always helps.
Yeah, and the international flights. That was the first plane where you see on movies, you see like 3 seats and then 5 in the middle and 3 on the other side. I'm thinking, oh, that's just a movie set. That's what I thought my whole life. They're real. We were on huge, and it was so cool to fly over there. And the meals, obviously tickets are expensive, but you get two full meals on the flight.
Wow.
Yeah, dessert and everything. So
a real meal.
A real meal. Like you were full when you're done.
Okay.
And so now that I've gotten to see one part of Europe, I want to go see other parts of the world now too. So after that, we finally booked a trip with our friends down to Mexico and went to what was it? San Jose del Cabo and Cabo San Lucas, and it was amazing. I loved it down there.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. And of course, you see like the poverty sections and so on and so forth. But that's everywhere now.
Right.
And now that I see what's out there, I want to see more before I go upstairs. I want to see the world as much as I can.
Yeah. I had the same idea. So I've had that mindset for a long time. And like I'll quickly answer the question you asked earlier about where I traveled for work. Not too many states, but a lot of different towns. A lot in California, all over like middle of California. But I worked in Montana, Nebraska. I actually built the dog food plant that my dog eats. Like for the long, I just switched his food, which I think they switched the ingredients or something because it wasn't satisfying him. And now he's full and he's content. But yeah, I worked on a dog food plant in the middle of Nebraska, nowhere, and then Florida, all over. And then Washington and Oregon, and like all over the state of Oregon. So I wouldn't be all over the country and states and so much, but like in each state that I worked in, besides Nebraska, I worked all over that state. And we had foreign exchange students growing up. And my mom had a foreign exchange student when she was in high school, and her parents had hosted one, and then so we did the same. But my mom goes 100% in on anything she does, and so she not only became like one host or two, we host two. She was like a liaison to the network of people that would like the group, the company or whatever. Like she got so dove in so deep that we ended up having like four or five, and I think two for a year, and then I think like two or three for 6 months or longer, and then one for a few months. But yeah. I knew about other cultures out there, and I loved world history, and especially World War II and World War I history. But I always knew I wanted to go to Europe and backpack across Europe. That's still a bucket list thing I want to do.
Need to get your knee fixed.
More like ride a motorcycle. There you go. But going across Europe and like traveling via train or whatever, and just doing that whole like that continent's so ancient. But now there's another part of there's a documentary called Ancient Aliens or Ancient Civilizations.
I've seen it.
Graham Hancock, and that has me wanting to see different parts of the world, like going and seeing those sites like Göbekli Tepe and stuff like that. Some of these prehistoric like pyramids and whatnot, and going to Egypt and seeing but Rome, seeing the Colosseum and stuff. I feel like that's gonna be the like one of the most spectacular things.
Oh yeah, you think about how many people were. I hate to say sacrificed there, but thousands.
And the roars and the cheers and like how much like energy was in that Colosseum, and that still stands. And that was just like that little place, that little. It's so crazy how small a country and how small a population can take over so much land and mass in the vast empire. It's like even in modern days with Germany during the World Wars, like they took over the entire map. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, it's amazing what power can do.
And Japan, the little island of Japan, took over all of China and was coming trying to attack America. That island is so lethal when they all when they were all under one mindset. That was dangerous.
It's anyone's dangerous if they have enough vision behind it and they have a leader that's going to push it.
Yeah.
Like the Roman Colosseum, like you brought that up, where the roar, the cheer, I hate to say it, but like the bloodlust watching these people fight to the death. I mean, I can see how that would get into it. It's no different than watching like a UFC fight today.
I just did it last night.
There you go.
And I was roaring and cheering and screaming.
And you're yelling at a screen. You're yelling at a screen
in a bar.
Having
a bunch of other people high-fiving.
Oh yeah. It's good stuff.
It's weird that that's in us, like naturally, that we want to watch that violence.
I think it's the male side more than anything else. I've noticed that, as I'm getting older, I'm less and less aggressive. I'm way more passive.
Yeah.
And the younger generation, they get all revved up, fired up, and it's like, you're not getting anything.
Right. I never carried aggression. I think that I always carried this philosophy: is that being mad only hurts the person that's mad. Second, you and I could get in a screaming match, and I'm gonna stay mad at you. You turned around, you're like, oh, fuck, that guy was. I don't know what his deal was, and that's the last you think about it, and then you get a text from the wife, and you're like, oh yeah, I got chores to do, and you never think about me being mad again. But that person that got mad stayed mad, and now I'm ruining my own life in this hypothetical situation. You know what I mean? Like I'm ruining my own entire day if I want to let it go that far. And so I never understood people like you can get upset and have a discussion and be like, this is what happened. Try and resolve things or come back to it later if it still bothered you. But people that are like, I'll forever be mad at that guy years later. I've seen people do that now, and like come around the circle and seeing guys on jobs again that are like, oh fuck that guy. I'm like, that was like 3 years ago, bro. You're still mad. Like you're toxic. Like it's poison to your soul. You can't be holding hatred like that. You got to let that shit go.
Well, sometimes you can't. I had a business partner that burned me pretty good, and I still have some content for that.
I mean, you're talking
things
like that.
Yeah, 50 G's. That's a lot of money.
Yep.
It bit me hard. So, but you know, it is what it is. I don't let it eat me up every day. Every once in a while, I'll see a post on, say, Facebook of the individual, and I'll just go swipe. I don't.
But yeah, seeing has come to grips with the reality of it.
Well, it's rather
it always hurts. You know, it's definitely like I said, there's being upset, but there's a point to where like if you ran into him, would you go get in his face about it?
No, because honestly, the only thing I would tell him about would be facts. Like, hey, you let this, and this go, and that's on you. So I already paid the other parts. If you don't take care of it, I'll see you in court.
Yep.
I'm not going to fight over it. It is what it is.
That I think is the difference between a rational mind and an angry mind. An angry mind doesn't know rational.
Well,
in the heat of anger, it's an emotion, not a realization of reality.
Right. Have you ever seen that photo on there where when you're really angry, you say things you can't take back?
Yeah.
And there's a photo of a dog like leaping for a bird or something like that, and it's on a cliff edge. You're at the point of
committed.
Yeah, you are committed. You don't know what's down there, but you're gonna go right for it, and it might bite you in the long run.
Yeah. And that was my point on the anger.
Yeah.
Nailed it. That was a good summary.
Yeah. I will admit, traveling, we've run into a few folks that were, I would say, held a lot of contempt for us. But now that I'm getting older, the contempt and anger, it wasn't anger in a way. It was borderline.
Those two are gonna go right there.
Okay. Those two were like borderline jealousy. You know what I mean? So once they figured out that it wasn't like us trying to show off, it was just trying to make a living and do what we have to do. A lot of people just let things go. It just takes a while for them to get past that. You know what I mean?
What do you think about? That's interesting. You bring up jealousy because what do you think about the fact that like people hate on someone? And we brought it up before, like the fact that you want to see us not just do what you did, but flourish further, hopefully. And where does that come from? That seeing you get surpassed, and then that familiarity, or like just akin to being polite. Next thing you know, it turns into jealousy, or into like where's all this energy coming from? And these people see you doing good, and they start hating on you. And then that's a real thing. Like it really happens. Like there's now to the point where I learned over many people just that I thought were cool, not be cool anymore. Like, okay, I better just not talk about certain subjects unless someone brings it up to me. I'm not even gonna bring it up because the second I do, I've seen it change in people's faces as I'm speaking on certain things that I've done or whatnot, and I'm like, oh, I can't talk about that to just anybody because they're gonna change, and then that forever changes the dynamic of our relationship.
Yeah. And I get what you're saying. Some people can't. How do I say it? Instagram, they always are. It's always a positive thing. They never really show the negatives, right?
They're like real life.
Right.
They're not showing that part.
Like everything's successful. Like you see these guys riding dirt bikes, they're throwing these killer whips, and everything's running smooth landings. They don't show the broken bones. They don't show the bank accounts going to zero. They don't show, this guy was traveling around the country, and all of a sudden his wife left and ran around him because he was never home. They don't show any of that. They just show the positive side, and that's what makes me fearful of the next generation. Like my kids, it's like that is not real. life is a struggle. You have to learn to deal with it. And I want people to surpass me, whether it's my daughter, you, whoever, because all people, and I'm doing what I can on my side, but I also realize that I get sucked into the phone too. It's like I look at Instagram, it'll pop up, like you look on your phone right now.
I'll show you. I'm gonna look up a lyric that's describing exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so the Instagram thing, like I'll look at like Facebook or whatever, and I see these people with these nice trucks, nice cars, and you know how the market is right now. It's really expensive, and it's like I'm envious of and jealous of it, but at the same time, I'm looking at people that have 10, 15 years on me, and all their stuff is paid off. They don't have the bills. The kids are grown, doing their own thing, right?
That's where the real freedom is.
Right. You have to get to that point, and as you know, I've got time on you, and so these people I'm watching have time on me. So there's like a 10, 15, 20-year gap in all the things that we're seeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're seeing it in multiple generations, and you're not just seeing it. You're like watching. You can see for me, you watched it live. Like we've downgraded. So in the matter of 2 years, I went from not even that a year and a half. I went from being a single man, living in an RV, having this idea where okay, I can have 5 to 7 years to pay off this RV, a Harley, and my brand new truck.
Right.
And I love, but I was traveling a lot. So not to say it was a necessity, but it was definitely worthy of. It wasn't like I was totally out of line for buying it, but it didn't make the transition to having a family easy because that wasn't sustainable for how much money I was actually making, and I would have to continue to chase. I got to feed that dragon essentially. I got to keep chasing that money, which was content until I realized I wanted to slow down and have a family. And so then over the last year and a half, 2 years, you got rid of the truck. I got family close enough we can move the trailer. Then I got two cars instead. Then that was extending the budget, and I was like, you know what? Because I have injuries. You don't think about the full picture of like. I have a kid. I have to continue to provide even if I get hurt. Because before, if I got hurt, I could live on unemployment. And I'm only feeding myself. I'll eat some rice and beans. I don't give a fuck. But it got to the point where it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna impoverish my family. And so I went from this living free and just haphazardly in the wind to having to be like, okay, I have people that I want them to have a certain quality of life. So
you have your little girl and your wife looking at you going, we're hurting, we need your help.
Yeah.
They are depending on you fully, 100%.
It's so weird. I was listening to a podcast where this woman is a lesbian now, and she wasn't. And so she had the perspective, and she's the masculine of the role, takes the masculine role in the relationship. She had an interesting perspective, and men can't articulate it that way, but she was able to be the woman that just shows up at the bar and drinks free all night. Didn't have to have any money. To being like, I can't get a girl to talk to me without giving her a free drink. You know, and then she was also successful. Hence the reason she was on the show that I was watching, and she had a great perspective about that is a real heavy weight that no one actually understands unless you're a man doing it and taking care of a full grown adult, an entire human being relying on you and solely you alone is like
it's eye-opening.
It's a level of pressure that you don't even understand yourself until you're so deep in the quicksand that you're like, not to say it's a problem or it would ever. But you're in it. If someone were to set that out to you like a contract, you'd be like, I'm gonna have to really read over this document. But you just fall into it. That's what love is. You fall into this, and you open eye. At least for me, just welcomed the responsibility openly. But I didn't realize the toll it was taking on me in doing so.
There's certain things in life that'll hit you blindsided for sure with kids and family. You're talking about stress, about like trying to take care of family. I remember I was working in Seattle, and I had my house up there. And next thing I know, I'm up there, and they're like, "Hey, the union contract's ending," and they fired everyone on the spot, and I was one of them. I'll never ever forget that. I had to go home, tell my wife, "Hey, I was fired. We just bought the house up there, everything. We just had our second baby, and I am scrambling." So the first thing we do is I had to go find work somewhere, and we drove all the way across the country. We went from Puyallup down to Durango, Colorado, grab a trailer, loop back around Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then shoot out to Pennsylvania to go to work. I had my credit card.
Slow down. Say that one more time.
So Puyallup, Washington, down to Durango, Colorado, grab a trailer, and then from Durango, Colorado to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
So you had a house here in Puyallup.
In Puyallup, yeah.
And I love that area.
Yeah, I do too.
But so that's down to Colorado to get the RV, the trailer, and then to Pennsylvania,
then all the way to Pennsylvania.
Within a matter of like, I guess we're leaving tomorrow.
Yes, we're leaving tomorrow.
I understand that so much.
Yeah, so we get all the way out there, and I had my credit card maxed out 100%, $20,000, trying to survive, right? Paying bills, food, kids need to eat, and I had $500 in my checking account, which I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they only take cash; they don't do credit cards. Plus, we were maxed out, so I needed that for one more week of rent. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? Well, I literally was on my way walking to the office, and when we got there, right before I walked in the door, my phone rang, and he said the foreman out there, his name was Jeff. He called me and he goes, "Hey, head to Pennsylvania right now. I got a slot." All right, so loaded up. I did not have to pay rent. I kept that cash in my pocket, and I had about just enough left over on my other card to get fuel to get there.
It literally like all the tiles just lined up, and that path shown itself just right.
Right. So now here comes the stress part.
Yeah.
Right? So we get up there, and everywhere we go, we have to take a full weld test, as you know.
Yep.
You don't make the test, you don't get a job.
Yeah. So you're basing this whole thing. You're literally hedging the whole bet, the house. You're betting the house on yourself every time. Like you're getting in the cage. Like I bet the house. Putting your whole life, your family, everything, the kids, food. That's some stress.
Yeah. So I remember
giving a man your word. I'll pass this test. Put his word on the line.
It was brutal. So we get up there, and I go in there to test, and Jeff was a really nice foreman. He goes, "Hey, it's blowing snow sideways. We're not testing today. We'll test tomorrow." So I drive home back to the RV, and my wife, of course, has tears in her eyes because she sees me home really early. Because that means you failed, right? And I'm like, "No, they canceled." Right? They're like, "No, the snow. It's fine." So she calmed down, and of course she's really stressed out because we don't have enough money to even get home if we don't.
Right.
I'm broke.
Yeah. So one shot, pony.
Yeah. So we get out there, and the next day I go to test, and I won't get into the details on it. It was a total crap show. I'm talking trying not to throw up, and shaking. I'm thinking about my kids, my wife. I'm going, I've got to make this. Well, long story short, thank God I did. That job alone, it went from a 2-month job turned into 8.
That's awesome.
Major bankroll. Major bankroll. So we're rolling money. We're doing good. We pay off the credit cards, get everything going, and then we transition from one job to another, and we're all over the country: North Dakota, Wyoming, California. We're everywhere. I mean, we're ping ponging.
And this is with your family.
With my family. We had a fifth wheel. We had a 42-foot long toy hauler, triple slide. So
similar, but
real similar, right? So we put so the kids had the bunk beds. We put beds in the back, so they had their own room in the garage.
Okay. Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah. And so we did that for a while, and my wife hauled you've seen the big white cargo trailer we have. She hauled the rest of our stuff because we had to sell our house in this whole mess.
So you did end up selling it once you got that, and then did you sell it in that 8 months that you were?
No, we still made payments on it for a year because it was back when the recession hit in 08. So I wasn't living there paying a mortgage and traveling, so I was paying for 2 households. So it was tight.
Yep.
And then finally one day we got the house sold, and then like a year later I was working at Intel a bunch where you were working.
Yep.
And then finally I got this other contract job to work through a company called Lloyd Clark Pipeline. Well, went to them, and then went to the gas company Northwest Natural, and the boss there saw me just fireballing through the tests because I was just in a good mood. Everything was going like it should, and I knocked out all 3 tests in one day. So 12-inch butt weld, 12-inch branch, and then a 12-inch sleeve, all low hydrogen, 500 wall in 8 hours. Just and that's cutting it, prepping it,
and keeping it at temp.
Yes, I mean moving and grooving. And I had a great helper that was helping me. His name was Akaika Leach of all things. Kai for short. He was Hawaiian. Anyway, so after that, he said, "Have you ever thought about working for us before?" I said, "Well, if you ever give me the opportunity, I will never leave. That's a promise." 3 years later, I'm jumping around Intel and all over the place. I get a phone call saying, "Hey, a slot opened up. Are you interested?" I said, "Where do I apply?" I said, "Go online and apply." Well, the stars aligned again, and bam, and now I've been there almost 10 years, and you've seen what we've accomplished here, because I'm home all the time. I can actually build the household. Kind of like how you are now like home all the time, and you're doing whatever you guys are doing financially. I hope that this endeavor is the same as ours, where you guys can skyrocket into a house and do your thing like you need to do, and I know you can do it.
That's the thing. Like this spot. So we planned to have the baby. I'll let you take over.
No worries.
I think I put the engine in, so it's looking like.
I'll figure it out.
So we planned a baby, and the same thing. How you lost that job? That was like a bankroll. I had at least a year worth of work. There was a bigger outlook, and we were up in Seattle making overscale, just killing it. And the superintendent's super impressed, just giving me more money every fucking time I turn around. And next thing I know, there's a concrete strike, and it was already happening when I got there. But it was like, it's not going to affect us. We got most our slab poured, and keep on moving. Lots of iron. 3/4 of a slab. Well, then I had to go to apprenticeship school, and I had an opportunity like. Don't go, because they expedited all my apprenticeship programs. I did 3 months, so 3 years worth of school, 3 full months, and a year and a half in like under 18 months, like 16 months. And so that's a lot of time off. And you don't always get a job right out of it. It's not like you go back. Hopefully you can go back to the company. That's what my plan was. Well, the local 86, they just shut down the doors. They said, nope, only local hands. I don't care if we have apprenticeship calls. A journeyman's going to, I don't care what it is. Apprentices will take journeyman calls. We're only using local hands until this thing clears out. So that was months, and we had a spot, and it's hard to get a spot up there. You got to go on a wait list for a year, 8 to 9 months. If you're lucky, and something opens up. And so it's like once we left that spot, okay, I guess we're not going back up there. And that's kind of what happened. And then. So that set everything, but we committed to like, all right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna finish this apprenticeship program at this expedited rate, and it's gonna hurt, but it's gonna get us where we need to go sooner. And it did. But it got us there. Now we're on the other side, and we're starting to build that future. And it's worth it because it would have added like a year or two if I gave it a full year instead of doing. I did school like every 3 or 4 months, and it put us out a couple times to where it was like, oh, there's not another job waiting for you, so you gotta wait a couple more weeks. And then I went from like making well over 100,000 to like under 80,000, under 60,000 during the last 2, and then. I was like, damn, that's why. But when you looked at the pension credit hours, I was like, oh, I had 13 or 1,400 hours. It was I think the last 2 years was like 1,500. I went from 2,300 for 2 years in a row. Like that was steady to like 1,600, just under. And then one was like just almost 1,400. I was like, oh, okay. But that was all the going to school and stuff. And then we did catch COVID one time. But it was worth it, and it set our family up to where I don't have to worry about being an apprentice, getting laid off, doing this, being able to, you can't boom out because you're an apprentice, you need a letter, you can't. So if something does happen here, you can't like move on, take another job. Because I was so used to that. And throughout my probationary period, even then I was I was allowed because of the welding ability. I was allowed to boom out as a probationary, which is usually uncalled, like not allowed. But they wrote a letter, got me out to Oregon. That's how I ended up out here from Florida. And so I really. Sometimes it's hard to like have faith in those decisions, but it always panned out for me, and it usually always pans out. If you really meditate on it.
So you're lucky you were able to do that. So ours, we have to make sure that it's, as I say, union only. You can't work non-union.
Right.
And thankfully, between the other locals, I was able to work union my entire career until I switched to what I'm doing now, which is office work. So it is what it is. And honestly, as far as a financial move, it was the best financial move I ever could have made.
And for your physically as well.
I kind of got fat.
But the strain and like it's better to be in an office than it is. I mean, I don't know. At least it might not be quite as strenuous. But the ironwork, man, that is a hard one on your body. And the iron's never right because no matter how many. The one thing about iron, like. I've done a little bit of pipe work, not to say anything where I have great experience, but I've done some pipe work when I went out in Montana and stuff, and I was definitely trained in it in school. I've done my own like drill stem pipe, like ornamental stuff and stuff, but I know how to do like rolling offset and whatnot. But it's the ironwork is so the iron's always wrong. In the field with pipe, if you have a good fitter, like you said, you had a good partner. If you have a good fitter, you're gonna have a good day. And you fit your pipe usually in the field, or you're getting prefab tees or prefab elbows, or you're doing your rolling offset calculations and doing it right there on your own. So there's only you to blame if you miss the cut or whatnot, which is also shitty. But like we get all of our, at least it's a qualified, skilled tradesman that made that mistake, and it's like, all right, whatever. It's one of our brothers. We get all of our iron from across the country in non-union fab shops where the drawings are clearly this, but they put the clip in backwards. Like there's always a thick side to the clip which goes to the iron, and then it's just like easy, simple stuff to where it causes so much. Like right now, we're in an entire RFI stage where all we're doing is fixes because they can't release the floor until all the fixes are done. That's it. I mean, a stack, like half-inch stack of fixes. And
that's not fun.
That part I don't. It's just not fun at all. And it's hard. That's hard work. A lot of grinding. A lot of air arc. Dirty. Can't breathe straight.
No, that's horrible. I've been down that same road before where, we would get work that would come in, and the work we would get in, it would, most of it be right, but then the most critical fittings would go up in the air, so it would be 120 feet in the air, and I've been there with you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this stuff, and since you're an ironworker, you know what an angel wing is.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like those. Like at all. I remember I'm on this aluminum angel wing, and next thing I know, my feet are just shaking.
I don't know where that guy goes.
So anyway, I don't either.
So you step out. What's that first? What's your immediate? Because they flex when. What's your first like instinct?
I pulled on the harness to make sure it was connected and checked my back. I didn't like that at all. And I was working with a gentleman. His name was Ron, one of the nicest guys on the planet. But my God, he had a voice that would explode anywhere he went. And anyway, long story short, his voice would explode, all his stuff would explode, and you could hear him across the entire job site. And nothing against Ron. I mean, I thought he was a really cool guy. But he's like, oh, just get out there, you're fine. And of course, I'm shaking, I'm doing all this stuff, and now I'm literally trying to weld a, you know what a threadlet is, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I've got a threadlet, and I am on the bottom of 36-inch pipe, hanging off an angel wing, shaking
so bad,
and
I'm reaching out as far as I can one-handed, and I have my apprentice literally on the angel wing with me, those 3x3-foot angel wings, and he's holding it as best he can, and I'm tacking it, right? I tack it, he gets up, and he's on the iron, and he's looking at me, shaking his head, and I'm trying to weld this thing with low hydrogen overhead, hanging off the edge of this thing. 120 feet off the ground.
It's one thing to do it one-handed on the ground, or on unstable footing.
It's scary. You start to shake, that whole platform's doing this, and I mean, you're moving that much, it's wiggling, it's scary.
So even to that point, even not on angel wings, like recently on this job, because you've used air arc before, the entire amount of energy, like so much. You're talking 500, 600 amps. It vibrates the iron. It sends like electric waves through the iron. So you get 4 or 5 guys air arcing on a frame and a couple bolt-up guys. That whole steel structure, which is massive, is moving. And you get like a weird equilibrium. You start feeling like you're drunk or something, like getting lost in the puddle because the whole building, and I'm in a free-floating basket, and now the iron I'm rested on is moving. And I'm like, what is going on? But it's just so much activity through the steel. It's all moving. It's really trippy.
It's scary, is what it is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it is full on scary. I don't like it. I'll give it to you. You can have all the ironwork you want. It is not my cup of tea. But I mean, I did what I had to do, and of course, we're doing fittings. We're doing fittings that are up in the air, being hung off the sky hook, as you guys call it. And that tower crane is doing its job like he's supposed to. But I'm trying to figure out if the fittings, like you said, pipe come from all around the United States, is one hole or two holes with all the flanges. And there was one connection in the middle of the two buildings where it was one hold. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I'm trying to figure this out from like 20 feet away. I'm just like, well, this is either going to work or it's not. And so sure as could be, next thing I know, my foreman at the time, he goes, "Do you think you can figure it out?" I'm like, "Well, if I'm wrong, it's wrong." What do you want me to say?
What was it like working with that big ass crane?
With the sky hook, as you guys call it, I enjoyed it for the most part because I didn't have to move equipment and side booms and do all this other crap.
Did they have that big the big blue out there?
No, they didn't have the biggest crane in the world out there.
Yeah, they had Big Blue out there when I was out there. 4 operators to run this crane. One operator ran actual steel cable tagline. The crane had taglines.
Yeah.
I was like, this thing. I got a picture that had the hook, had the block down low, and in one picture they had it sitting over a truck. It was the entire size of the truck.
Yeah,
the hook. Yep. And then I got a picture under it. I looked like a little this minifigure compared to us. Like, it was so crazy how big that shit is.
Oh, it is. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. When you think about like what's actually out there in the world, we are making some monstrous gains in technology and equipment.
Yes. Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, just like the coal mining equipment. I always am intrigued with these. They're excavators, but they scoop away from you instead of in, and they can fill a whole Ute dump truck in one scoop. I mean, you're talking what, 20, 30, 40 yards? I don't even know what it is. It's just ridiculous.
Is that it on the stickers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
Did you do the other one there?
What?
That page.
Two. Yeah, I dumped it.
Okay.
This is it. Oh yeah.
All right, let's take over.
So when I'm gonna shift back because I've been wanting to ask you this, but when did you meet Shay? Like were you? So I'm assuming you were already on the road and stuff. But when in your travels did you meet your wife?
So remember we were talking about Alaska, right? And I was like, I was 19, just turned 20, 21. So yeah, I was up there about a year. So I was about 21.
Young. feeling full of piss and vinegar still. Just able to drink.
Yeah.
In Alaska, making bread.
Just
mad money.
There's nothing to do up there though in the winter. So
except for drink.
I actually spent most of my time in the gym.
Good for you, dude. Good for you.
So
it's a sad story when you hear him go down that path.
Oh, I know. So to meet my wife, I got a call saying, "Hey, I've got a new building trades job for you. We want you down here as local 32." And I'm like, "All right, I'll take the job." So I basically had another like 3 weeks left on the job, and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna head out early. I got another job lined up." So I left and went to Seattle to go to work. And in all honesty, it didn't pan out, and so I got mad and I quit. I said, "You didn't meet your promises on the pay, dude. I'm gone." So I had another call right after that to go to Bellingham to do a mainline pipeline job, making fat stacks. I was like, all right, I'll go do this. So I go up there, and believe it or not, guess who's up there? My dad is up there.
No way.
Yeah, so my dad is up there working. Small world. So my dad's up there working, and my buddy James, he came up, and I go out to Office Max because I'm not looking to date anyone or do anything because my last relationship was a total nightmare. So I hadn't been dating for like a year and a half. I had no desire.
I've been there.
Yeah, been there. Toxic.
Yeah.
And so, sure as could be, I walk into Office Max in Bellingham, of all places, and sure as could be, there is Shay at the checkout. She's going to college up there at Western and Western Washington University, and she goes, "Hey, do you want to fill out a Max credit?" And I'm not flirting with her or anything. I'm not. And I'm like, sure, I'll fill it out. She goes, "It'll get me some extra money and whatnot." I'm like, "Sure, I'll help you out. I don't care. I'll get one." And I put down my income at the time, and she goes, "What do you do?" And I told her, I'm like, "Oh, I'm a pipeliner." And she looks at me and she goes, "Oh, you're just one of those damn guys." And I was like, "What?
Sideways.
Oh, really sideways." So I'm like, "Excuse me?" And she just gave me the nastiest look. And I hate to say it, it really chapped my back end, and I'm like, so I started tearing into her cash register. I was getting mad, and then because I told her,
right there, and you're like, that's some bullshit.
Yes, I just called her out on. I was pissed. So anyway, I'm like, I'm not one of those guys, quote unquote, where it's like the old saying was, "Wine 'em, dine 'em, pipeline 'em." That was it. That was it.
Heard the saying.
So you've heard it. Just meet and greet and adios, right? So we go on ahead, and finally I get mad. I'm like, "Hey, I'm not from the area. I've got a motorcycle. I overheard you have a bike.
And you're on a motorcycle.
I'm not on a motorcycle.
Okay.
No. I came in my truck, and I was picking up a desk for my computer games because that's all I did. I just played games in the afternoons and rode my bike. That's all I did. And so I said, "Hey, your previous conversation you had, I overheard you rode motorcycles. If you ever want to go on a ride, let me know. I'm not looking for anything else. Just looking for people to ride with." And I threw my number down and disappeared. And I'm honestly mad when I left. I'm like, why did I give her my number? So I'm literally mad. And a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I get a phone call. And she goes, "Hey, this is Shay." And I'm like, Who's Shay? Who? I'm like, I've forgot about her.
Yeah.
I'm like, she'll never call. Whatever, gone. And Shay, and I'm like, I don't know who you are. She goes, "Office Max, Shay. You gave me your number," and I literally had to stop and think for like a minute. Remember this. And I'm going, "Oh, okay." And she goes, "Hey, meet me down here. We'll go on a ride." Well, sure as could be. I go down. I ride down 30 minutes, meet her down there, and we go on this ride down Chuckanut Drive, right? And it's this drive along the coast or the Bay Area of Washington. It's gorgeous in the summer. It's got these tight little.
This is up above Seattle or below?
This is above Seattle. Bellingham's almost by the Canadian border.
It is. Yeah. Okay. So it's up by Bellingham. I haven't been that far.
But
I've heard of it.
Bellingham's a college town. It's a party town. So we go on this ride, and long story short, we're cruising along, and she pulls over to take a break. We're like halfway down Chuckanut Drive, and it has this beautiful spot. We're out on the rocks overlooking the water and whatnot, and we start talking, and she starts to realize I'm not just like a piece of crap,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So lo and behold, we get ready to leave, and she's laughing and we're giggling, having a good time, and I take off in a wheelie going back towards Bellingham. And of course, I'm riding a crotch rocket with cowboy boots and Wranglers on. Okay, so
that's quite a scene.
It is.
Yeah.
And so we get back to her apartment up there, and lo and behold, that's where it'll happen. She gave me a kiss on the hood of her car while we're just sitting there talking outside her apartment, and now almost 17 years together, 16 years married.
Wow.
I'm not one of those guys.
So she's from. I mean, she's from here, right here in Vancouver. Yeah,
This is her
homestead. And so she was never one that ever expected to travel, did she?
No, she never
Yeah,
wanted
so
kids.
how did you? She never even wanted kids. How did you talk her into hitting following down that path?
So
I didn't. Or is that just the law of attraction? Is that just the love that developed and then she's like, I can't be away from you?
Yes. So that is what happens. So long story short, it is. It'll make you do the dumbest things in your life, but it's sometimes the best things in your life, right?
Yeah.
So we're laying in bed, snuggled up and whatnot, and we're still in Bellingham, and I wake up to her bawling her eyes out, right? And it's 4 in the morning. I'm thinking like, what happened? Did I roll over and smack you in the face? Or what while I was asleep? What happened? I don't know what's going on. And she goes, I know that you've got to leave soon. And she goes,
how long you guys been together?
At that point, we were only together like a month and a half. A month?
Okay, so not long at all.
No. And so next thing you know, she goes, there's something I want to tell you, but she goes, I know you're going to be leaving soon, and I can't say it. And I literally just said, you know what, I love you too. I was the first one to say it.
All right.
And then next thing you know, because that was the first time ever in my entire life that a girlfriend of mine had that kind of emotion. It was the first I ever saw it, and I wasn't gonna let it go.
Yeah, that's a good read on the reading the room too.
At 4 in the morning when I'm not awake.
Yeah. That's killing it. That's intuition at its best. Wow.
So long story short, we've been together ever since, and we've had highs, lows, the whole 9 yards.
Meet that guy.
Yeah. So we've had highs, lows, good, bad, you name it, we've been through it. You know what I mean? So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what have you guys go the opposite way? This guy.
No, I see what you're saying.
Stack on top of that guy.
Yeah, I got you.
So you guys traveled for 17 years then together? When did you stop traveling? Actually,
so
I would. You said 7 years.
Well, that was
how much you traveled together.
Well, we were together at that point for 7 years, and then that was when we came to I would say come to Jesus meeting, where she's like, look, we're either going to stay home or we're not going to be together. So I started over. Like I worked my way up to foreman, superintendent. I was up to 200,000 a year, and I mean it's a good chunk of change.
Fuck yeah, it is. And you don't think about the bank at that point.
No, it's like I'm not losing my daughter. I'm not losing any of them. I'm just not. And then sure as could be, I came back to the Vancouver area and started over, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was very humbling because there was a point where we literally were on food assistance, if you will.
Yep. I've been there.
Food stamps, and started over from scratch, pure scratch, and it was absolutely just
roughing it.
Humbling.
Yeah.
It was rough, but humbling. And I realized right then and there that it's like no matter what you've got going on, I don't care what it is. If you don't have your little girl coming up to you and saying, "Daddy, I miss you, I love you," it's just not worth it. It's really not.
I agree. I've been there on both sides of the My dad, he wasn't around. My dad didn't want me. He wanted me to be aborted. He didn't want anything to do with it. And then left for Florida shortly after. Found out. And so I had a stepfather. And he was amazing. I mean, like I said, not one of many words, but he stuck around. To raise another man's kid is really. There is no greater. I truly believe this. That there is nothing greater, no greater love than that, to raise another man's kid, because turns into that could be a terrible situation. Like you could become that person could turn into a real bad person, or the fact that I had like those type of people carry anger in their heart, like we were talking about before, and carry resentment that comes from birth that can be deeply rooted in their soul to where they can't move past that, and they become a menace to society. And there's so many examples of that. But just having him around and having a dad that I called him dad. That was my dad. I even without legally doing it took his because of financial reasons took his last name. And then had to situation happen and had to be legal and had to go back to my mom's maiden name. But yeah, that not having like
that's intense.
Not having that father. Like I'll never let her not be around. I'll be there every day. And so once I had her, I knew at 10 years old I wanted to have kids to correct the errors of my parents' ways. I believe in generational curses, and I think you have to have a certain level of insight to even recognize that there is one, and then a real level of discipline and humility to be able to recognize when you followed in their footsteps and correct it, or the discipline to not go down that path at all. Like I beat all of my parents and grandparents on the belated birth. They never made it past 20.
Wow.
My grandma had my aunt at like 17 when she had her. My mom I think was 19. When my grandma had my mom, and then damn on a curved surface. You got skills too. And then yeah, that's perfect. You're like, oh, I actually recognize this. So yeah, there's some serious like I that part that you said, having her say that means a lot more than you think. And I had a guy at work the other day that hit me real hard. He said he was gone all the time when she was young. You know, when they're young, you get that fire in your belly even more. Like, I got to do more. Put out more. I got to take that job and do whatever I can to make more money. Put it in the bank. Have something so she doesn't feel the hardship I did. And then he goes and he says this. It's gone for just like your father was gone. He goes. He was gone for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months at a time, be home, but then go like working 2 hours away, so still only home for 30 minutes, an hour, go to bed. And his 15-year-old daughter comes up to him one time and says, "Daddy, do you love me?" And holy shit, dude, my daughter's only 6 months old now, and this was a month or so ago, and that shit broke my heart. And at that moment, I actually the next week told my boss I will no longer be working 8 hours on Saturday. I'm gonna only be working till noon. And I was like, that's it. Can't have that. That shit broke my heart. And that was his story. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of truth to that. Where people I've seen where they're like, yeah, my dad's not around, and of course the thing is, it's like. Society in a whole, they go on ahead and they're like men need to provide and all this, and it's like if you notice like the male and female persona, women look at men because you know they either really truly love them, or other women look at what their worth is and what they can provide. Right. It's what we can provide. But from
the time you're born, you know that's like your role.
Yeah. It's like what can you do? How can you become better? How can you whatever. And so when it comes down to kids, and like when friend said, "Dad, do you love me?" Dude, that is heartbreaking. They don't think that's like, oh, you're just the kids are going, he's never here. But they don't think about like, hey, we have food in the fridge. Hey, we have lights on in the house.
Yeah, like I explained about my father. Like I had that question. I had the same type of conversation with him about but as a man to a boy to a father, it was a little different. But it was like the never saying that he was proud or like showing like oh
oh
yeah,
you did a good job.
And he just
didn't say it, but he did. He was always there, and that's something you learn as an adult. Like that was his way,
and then
everyone's trying to do better. And once you have a kid, you see people as children. You're a kid. You're just an adult child. I'm just an adult child still making mistakes. And so I'm like, okay, I can't never hold it against him.
He took on
someone else's kid.
I don't know
anything about his childhood. Like he just didn't talk about it.
And
so
he
might be doing 10 times better than his father did for him.
I might.
Why should I be so entitled to expect more? I just need to do better on my side.
That's a hard one too, because it's like you want to do better, but at the same time you don't want to sacrifice the memories. That's the hardest part. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, if I could find a way to make it, millions of dollars or whatever, I would gladly do it. But I'm not going to sacrifice myself over it either.
Right.
It's
not about the money. Being around for the kids.
Yeah, at that point, it's definitely not about the money. Money, don't get me wrong, money makes life easier. The more you can make, but it doesn't replace the fact. Like a kid, when you think about a little child, they don't care about money. They just want to be with their parents. They just want to please their parents and be happy, and that's what we need to do. And a lot of people lose sight of that.
As long as they got that smile.
Yeah, but I did too. It's like I gotta do this. I gotta do this. If we don't have this in 6 months, we're screwed. It's like I go out, and I remember one time I had to leave my wife, and this is gonna break your heart too. She's with her mom, and her mom's house has this big, huge glass window. I mean, it's huge along the staircase. And I see her holding my oldest, and she is just a toddler, like your little one, the same size. And I see my wife with just tears streaming down her eyes because I have to go. It was the most gut-wrenching drive I've ever had in my life. For like 1,000 miles, I was bawling my eyes out. I took everything I had not to turn around. And I knew if I did turn around, I would be just doomed. I had to keep going. And now I look back at it. Do I wish I would have turned around? Yes. But if I did, would it be where I'm at now?
No.
So there's going to be, no matter who you are, where you're from, or anything like that, there's always going to be some kind of hardship or something that's going to break your heart, no matter what it is. But you got to power through it. But you have to make sure that your partner, whoever he or she might be, that they're on board with you 100%, because that's what makes it happen.
That's why I asked you about when Shay made the decision to start traveling with you, because so Alexa and I, she made the move at me, and I kind of shucked her off because she hit me up in the gym, and I'm working out. I got my headphones on. Like I'm not in the let's make friends zone. And I was working, and I just was kind of over it. Same situation. And of course, she comes up to me and she's scared, never approach a man because you're not supposed to, right? And her mom's very traditional Italian family, and like the man approaches the woman, you just, that's not what you would ever do. That's not ladylike. And so she does it. She's scared. She makes just an embarrassment of herself. just sitting there with an eyebrow raised, and I don't think I even said a word. And she leaves, runs off. But she had said like, "Oh, I stalked your Instagram." She actually said that. And so I'm like,
I remember her telling me this.
Okay, let me see. So I found someone who liked like 7 pictures in a row. And so that was her. So I hit her up like a week or so later, and we went to the gym, and next thing you know, that's kind of I would say that's all she wrote, but we had a very bumpy past. And we knew the love was there for someone that we weren't. Like we could see the future in each other, but we weren't the people that were ready for that future. And so we split after nearly 2 years, and went away for almost 3 years, and then again stalking me again, and finally called her out on that bullshit. And I was like, hey, what are you doing? Just say something. Keep watching me over here in all my success, doing everything I told you I would. Why don't you say something to my face? Like call me, or And then anyways, after that little rubbing it in her face, we got the really talking, and I went
out there, but I told her because I'd already compromised for too many women,
and I said,
look,
this is
my dream. This is what I'm doing. Like this is where.
This is
the future that I see for myself,
and you can come
be a part of it,
or you can stay here,
and that's
fine
by me.
And
she made that decision
because she never
stopped
loving.
I never stopped loving her, but she never stopped. She never gave up. I
thought
that was long gone.
I had
forgot about it. And which is reality. You know, you move 3,000 miles away from someone you haven't heard from in years. It's over. That's not an option. Her crazy ass women, man.
She was like,
I'm gonna get him back one day.
and
sure enough,
and we
were better people when we met again.
But she
followed me all over to her credit, and
she's
she's not good with moving.
And she
followed me.
We've traveled.
We probably lived in like
7, 8
places in the last 2 years.
And 6 months,
6 months, or the job falls apart, and she was there for all that,
and
decided to go through all the hell
of
finishing the apprenticeship and
the
move across country, 9,000 miles. It was round trip. I drove out there in a truck, picked up her entire loaded everything she owned in the bed and back seat of the truck, loaded it up in her car, put her car on the trailer, and moved her out here.
And
that was it. To a land unknown.
It's like
that's very brave and very like not just brave, like you know what you want. Like there's only a few things in life that I've known like that I wanted it at that level. One of them's what I do for a living.
Wanting to be
with her, obviously I had to do the same. I had to go out there and get her. But like to leave that comfortable life that she had to come. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, dude.
I have such a level of respect for, and your wife did the same thing.
And
knew
came to
that realization. This is who I want.
This is what I have to do.
And those are rare women.
I know a couple
iron workers with some women like that stay home and they go and
it's
respect to those ladies.
It's a hard life, no matter how you look at it. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we're making lots of money and all that," but they never realize the hardships that you go through in the process. They never do. And I hate to say it, a lot of families, that line of work, traveling, is not for the weak of faint of heart. It's just not.
No.
I don't care who says what. It's just not. It's not. So I've seen so many people.
I think that's got to go the opposite direction.
Opposite?
Yep.
All right. Live and learn.
Yeah,
it happens. That's the fun of this.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just like the greenhouse I was just building in the shop. Set it backwards.
Their prints at work always seem so much more simpler than the prints that you get to build some
I wish they did it like Legos, honestly, because this is a lot easier. Because you might get a schematic from somebody named Billy Bob down the road. They don't know what the heck they're doing.
And they write it in 4 different languages, and then next thing you know, I think they left pages out during the interpretation phases. You're like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Oh yeah, I know. The same thing.
I think we're gonna
let me.
Yep.
There's these Ferrari blocks.
Yeah.
These are pretty cool.
There's two more in there that they had me bury them.
I kind of saw you looking like, why is this in here?
Yeah.
But
it didn't make any sense.
I was supervising.
Well, you notice I was watching it like 3 times over.
Yep.
Why is it not in there?
Yeah.
I really like. I like building these little cars with people. It's fun. It's cool.
What's really cool is like, when's the last time? Can you tell me the last time? Well, you have kids, but you actually played with a toy. You're playing with toys right now. Like,
you know what I mean?
That's not like adult toys where we're out building shit in the shop. You and I both like doing shit like that. But like, where you actually like, we're just brainlessly building a toy.
Not building a toy, driving a toy.
Driving a toy.
My buddy had a he sold most of it now to do his own business thing, but he had a plethora of RC.
Oh man, one of those guys.
Rock crawlers, dragsters, drifters, you name it, he had it. Any scale, monster truck, small car.
That's cool.
There was one called carpet runners. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I know about carpet runners. I'm a little bit in the game.
All right, so he had this set, and when I say set, I'm talking like
60 RC.
Yeah.
And,
Collection.
$30,000 worth of stuff. And his whole entire garage was a rock crawling studio and drift track.
Oh, he built his own course.
It even had ropes hanging off the ceiling. I mean, this thing was just killer. And so that was probably, I don't know, 3 years ago. And then I just went out there and did some drift cars with him like 8 months ago.
That's cool.
8 months.
That's good. That's good though. That's cool. I think it's good. It's good. You ever so in Step Bros there's the scene the last scene where his dad's like, don't lose your dinosaur. And he's doing the dinosaur. He's like, I used to be a little T-Rex. And they're looking at him like, what the fuck, Dad?
All people fear the T-Rex.
Just don't lose the inner dinosaur. And that's kind of how I feel about this. Like a lot of people that I've had on. I had my grandma on, and she was building Legos with me, and I was like, that's cool. That's cool. Like she's 70 years old now. It's like, okay.
That's like grandma here. She's 96, 95, 96, and she just quit driving a year ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she is queen bee around here. If anything,
I met her, right?
Rita.
I think so.
Yeah,
it was at a dinner.
She's just rough and tumble, still rocking and rolling. So I hope she lives to 120.
Alexa's great grandma is 102. Just turned 102. Last month. Yeah.
God, I hope
102, dude. 102. Felicity
got
a good chance. Those women in that family. 102. And she's totally living independently. She's not in a home. She's 102. She doesn't drive, but she lives on her own. Like what?
That's like great grandma, 95, 96, whatever she is. She's just doing her own thing, and it doesn't bother her at all. She's like, oh,
it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the other day we all had a family meeting, and she's just in there, made coffee and cake and all kinds of stuff, and just hanging out.
That's cool.
Just having a grand old time, So I'll pass this one off to you here. That you have some of this fine detail work.
What was it like? Kind of marrying into a family with this kind of situation. Everyone's so close. That me? Holy shit! Only one person can get through.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna pause this real quick. Okay, we're back. We had to take a short intermission. Take care of some family matters.
What I had asked was what it was like. Marrying into such a large, close-knit family, and the way that Alexa married into my family is very similar to you marrying into Shay's family. But the fact that they all live on the same land, that's a different concept. So what was all this like when you made the transition, and now you guys also live on the land? So the transition was getting approval from great grandpa before he passed. Right? So grandpa was like Shay's dad, so I had to make a good point. So he said, "Hey, I need some help logging. We'll be out there tomorrow." Sure, I'll be out there. We went out to the barn, and we went out to the barn, and he had a very, very old Caterpillar dozer, which uses a pony motor, a gas motor to start a diesel motor.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, very old. I know how to run them. So we go out there.
So is that from your Colorado years?
My dad had one, yes.
Okay.
And the pipeline had these things all over the place until they finally got these new electric starters. I go out there and tractor, and I'm like, I go out there and I look at the tractor, and I'm like, I'll just fire it up. Fired up, and Grandpa comes walking out, and he looks and he goes, looks at me, he goes, how to start this? And his words were of approval.
That's cool.
His words were of approval.
I know those words. I know those words.
We go out logging all so anyway, he goes, we go out logging all day, and he goes, just stay on the tractor. I'm like, no, you get on the tractor. You have had your time. I'll go on ahead and I'll cut down the tree. I'll limb. I'll do all this stuff, and I work myself. I run up to him and I'm like, hey, you want to go? And I run up to him and I'm like, hey, you want to go do this again tomorrow? And he looked at me and he goes, I was like, you'll do just fine. So we're doing it tomorrow? Yes. No, we're good. I was like, okay, so we're doing it tomorrow? Yes.
no, we're good. This was a test.
And he literally looked at me and
I
goes,
was like, sweet. And he literally looked at me and goes, well, whenever you and Shay get ready to build a house, pick any lot you want. That's how it started.
Really?
And so, as far as like getting the approval from my mother-in-law, because Shay's dad died when she was young from cancer, right?
Okay.
So, to get approval from mom, at this point, I already asked for Shay's hand in marriage. I kind of stepped this out wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to get approval from mom, and we're at the restaurant. You know, Shay's not even 21 yet. Because Shay's younger than me.
Okay. What's the age difference?
2 years.
So we go to this
So it
place,
wasn't.
the
She was
steak
almost
place.
21. So we go to this place, the steak place.
So you guys
in
were
Portland.
like serious at a young age.
Yeah, at 20.
And I could
I was
never have been married.
so
Sorry.
reckless.
No, it's
And I
fine.
could never
So
have been
we go
married.
out to
Sorry.
dinner.
No, it's
Continue.
fine. So we go out to
goes,
dinner,
I'm like,
and she goes, I'm like, what does your mom like to drink? She goes, she doesn't normally drink maybe beer or something. She doesn't drink any hard alcohol. First thing she orders is
She
Jack.
looks at me like,
And she looks at me like,
kind of day.
she looks at me and goes, oh
she
no.
does give
Well,
me the blessing.
so she does give me the blessing after an hour-long chat of what took place and how things are going, and she agreed. And next thing you know, we're driving home in her car, and she starts to have an electrical fire in her old BMW. We're on the highway. It's pouring rain. I'm in my nice clothes. I climb out the window while we're on the freeway, and I am manually running the windshield wipers. I'm not joking.
Whoa.
So we pull over to this place called Elmer's, and we wait for it. Yeah, we pull over, wait for a tow truck, and I'm like, we could have made it home. She goes, I couldn't even see through the glass. You might have been able to see outside, but no. So anyway, between her drinking hard alcohol, her car catching on fire, she still said yes, and then Grandpa approved and helped us pick out the lot. And the driveway you see here, when we picked out the lot, is how Grandpa had the city or county, whoever put in the wetland, and they paid for the driveway. So he helped us out that way. So literally, it was me being myself and just being a hard worker is what triggered it to where they're like, hey, welcome to the family. And I've been here ever since. And I've never done anything against the family except for trying to make it prosper more and
Better
invest
the
more.
family.
Yeah, just better it and better and better. Just got to make it prosper.
It's worked out really well. I was welcomed,
It's worked out really well. I was welcomed, with open arms, and it was all good. And like I said, I've been here now a very long time.
That's really cool.
That's
awesome. That's really cool that
old family
like,
ties, man.
Those
something.
old family ties, man. They're
it is.
it's something.
Yeah,
It's cool too
neat.
that.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's cool
Like, you
too
don't see
that
like this
like you don't see
especially
that
here
like
in
this
city,
that-
this
this
should not exist.
especially here in this city
lot
this should not exist.
It defies time.
This lot should
itself.
not. It defies
fight.
time
Yeah.
itself.
It's a fight. So we basically went to the partnership and said Shay and I are going to take full legal and
financial risk
to
to better the family.
I'd say financial risk to better the family for taxes that are coming. And when we said, hey, we're willing to take this humongous financial risk, they finally agreed and got the ball rolling. And we've been trying to do this for like 3, 4, 5 years. So they're finally moving forward with it. And so we're trying to do what we can to save the property. Because honestly, taxes are going up.
Yeah, so-
Annexation of the city's coming into play.
Yeah,
Other
so,
cities right at our door.
You'd mentioned that to me before.
Go a little
but,
in on that. You'd mentioned
I tried
that to me
explaining this
before,
some
but
people
I tried to
outside,
explain this
like,
to some
I didn't have
people
enough knowledge, but you were
outside.
explaining-
Like
so
I
they're
didn't have enough
annexing- we're in
knowledge,
Brush
but you were
Prairie.
explaining. So
Vancouver's
they're annexing.
the
We're in Brush
major
Prairie.
city in
Vancouver is
Southern Oregon, or
the
Southern
major
Washington.
city in Southern Oregon or
They're
Southern
trying to
Washington.
annex the surrounding areas.
They're trying to
what they
annex
did
the
already?
other surrounding areas.
So what it
Or they
is
did
was
already?
They did. So the plan was 2007 to 2027 is their 20-year plan of taking, say, the city limit and taking over a huge area and making Vancouver the second largest city in the state of Washington.
You know
Oh,
where
wow.
Brush Prairie
So,
ends.
you know where Brush Prairie ends.
Yeah.
There's this little bar
So
over
that
there,
light
Prairie
Yeah.
Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
Just south
That
So that
place
light, that intersection.
just south of that building
really not
is
very
where
big,
the
'cause
city
just to our,
is stopping.
So it's really
east
not very
here
big
is
because just to our
are we
east
on the
here is
border of
Hawkinson's.
Hawkinson's and
Yeah.
So are we on the border of
Technically-
Hawkinson's
That's
and
kind of a,
Technically, that's kind of a, depending on where you live, it's Brush Prairie,
but-
Hawkinson. It's all,
when
it's
you look at
mostly
where
all
the
Brush
city
Prairie. But
annexation
so when you look
is,
at where the
it's gonna
city
go from the
annexation
river,
is,
Columbia River, all the way
it's going to
downtown
go
to
from
right
the
down the
river,
road.
the Columbia River, all the way
That's a
downtown
huge
to
city.
right down the road.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
they're taking
That's a
over
huge
farm
city.
They're
lots
just gonna
and
Yeah.
cut out
So
Camas
they're
then.
taking over
they're
farm
just
lots
gonna
and
cut out
They
Camas.
have to go
Yeah.
to Ridgefield
No,
and
they have to
stop.
go to Camas and
Wow.
stop. They have to
Yeah.
go to Ridgefield
But
and
then we have
stop.
Battleground
Because
Wow.
they can't take over their city
So we're
place.
literally
But then we
getting
have Battleground
bottlenecked
coming down
by
this
two
way.
cities.
So we're literally
That's
getting
crazy.
So, like, if you were
bottlenecked
to
by
go
2 cities.
down
That's crazy.
So like if you were to go down the road and up to, I don't know, a mile and a half from here, next thing you know, you have a development.
Really?
Now it's a development with houses. It used to be a golf course.
Really?
Now it's a development with houses. I think there's like 200 homes or something there. And that's the city of Battleground.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
It's literally right there.
Like, yeah, I didn't realize. I thought that was like just probably in the county.
It will become
That's Battleground.
Up
It
there,
will
yeah.
become Battleground.
So either Vancouver's going to hit us, or
We don't know what's going to happen. So either Vancouver's going to hit us, or Battleground's going to hit us, or we're going to get bottlenecked in. And there's a clause in there. And I can tell you, I read 269 pages of this thing. It was very brain numbing. There's a clause in there that says any city can be annexed at any time. So it's like if this little town, as they say, city can be annexed at any time. It could be 2028, which is, you know as well as I do, just a blink in time.
Yep.
So we're trying to avoid taxes.
It could be enveloped.
So we're trying to avoid taxes because what happens is once the city gets in there, then you have to do everything by city ordinance, city laws, city everything. So if you're going to do anything now, you have to do it while the zoning is what it is now.
And
Because if it jumps,
regulations would
a
bunch of new regulations could limit zoning regulations could limit what it is you're even able to do, regardless of the
yeah. So it's not rule or zoned R5 is what you can do. What we're going to do. But as soon as you get into city, adios amigo. You've got to get it grandfathered in before it gets. So you've got to hurry. So we've got a few years.
Yeah.
We've got like 3 years, which we could do it in a year and a half. But I want everything to be profitable and going into the partnership and making money to protect this property. Because let's face it, I said I'm willing to buy a lot, like 5 acres, pay cash for it, and pay 15 to 20% on top of it to keep this in the family. And when everyone's like, so you're willing to take this huge financial risk to do this, and it goes in everyone's pocket, and I'm like, yes.
So is that that would just make the size of the partnership a little smaller, or
no, it'd still be the same, but it would actually be generating more income.
To generate, I got you, to generate the income. So that way, now there's a mortgage on the land. Now
the land is actually
generating income.
So
land is actually making money.
It's all
correct. So like instead
even though it's going right back to it's all your guys's, but
right. So instead of it say we're doing farming and logging, let's face it, you can't cut down trees every year for the next 20 years. There'll be nothing left here.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, well that's got to stop. And then I think this year's our last year. And then what are we gonna do from there? Farming hay does not make enough to pay all the taxes.
No,
that's not even close.
But the annexation's a horrible
that's
thing.
what we're doing. But the annexation's a horrible thing. For me, I see red flags a mile away, and anything that threatens my home lifestyle and my family's lifestyle is a threat. So even if it's a legal threat, I don't care. I consider it as such. You know what I mean?
That's not. And that's not. I know what happened. I'm missing a piece. I did. I know what happened. I'm missing a piece.
That's not good.
I did.
I've never even been in an area where
I would have to. I've never even been in an area where I would have to like.
That's not even a thing.
I grew up in such a small town that that's not even a thing. Annex. I only thought about annexation of states and countries.
Yeah, that would be bad.
No, it's a trip.
Yeah, that would be
brings
real
in a
bad.
whole different.
No, it's a trip.
And it brings in a whole different
like
type of people. Like now you're gonna have
all the problems that come with the city. Are
like
gonna be
the
pushed
city.
out further
All
and
the problems that come with the city are going to be pushed out further and further.
out here.
Pushed out
It's
onto
really
us.
nice.
It's
And
quiet
for
out here.
it to be,
It's really nice. And for
10
it
minutes
to
from the
be
city,
technically
like a big six-figure
10 minutes from the city,
and even
like a
closer
big
to
6-figure
million,
city, and even closer to a million
area
population
It's
metropolitan area
And
in Portland.
It's
huge.
Like you live in the
And
country, and then you
it's
go up.
just
3
like
miles
you
and
live in the
there's
country, and then you
subdivisions.
go up 3
You're
miles,
like,
and
whoa,
there's
this is so
subdivisions.
weird.
Yeah, it's
You're like,
close.
whoa,
It never
this is
ever
so
used to
weird.
be like
Yeah,
that
it's
around
so
here.
close, and
Like,
it
it's
never
incredible.
ever used to be like that around
Scary.
here.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Fast.
It's scary because it's like,
moving
I moved.
fast.
I went back to my hometown
wish
a
it
year
didn't.
ago.
I went back to my
um,
hometown a year
this
ago. I
Christmas.
went back
So it'd been a year.
this Christmas.
And even
So
in
it'd
that
been a
time,
year.
The
And
population hasn't
even in
grown.
that time,
no more
the
houses or
population
stuff, but
hasn't grown.
businesses. A
No
lot
more
different
houses or
businesses.
stuff, but businesses.
And old ones are
a
gone.
lot of different
new ones have come
businesses.
in,
And old ones are
mainly
gone,
just
new
more
ones have come in,
than, like,
and
replacing
mainly
them,
just more new
actual
ones
new
than like
growth
replacing them,
businesses.
just
I was
actual
like, whoa,
new
this is
growth
weird.
businesses.
This,
I was like, whoa,
even
this is
seeing it in
weird.
a small town,
This
like, COVID
even seeing it
changed
in the small
everyone's
town, like
mindset on
COVID changed
where they wanna
everyone's mindset on
being able to do
where they want to
remote work.
live. and being able to do remote work and get out of the regulations in the cities. That's one of the things. Another reason.
Main reason we left
Seattle is what we
main
said.
reason we left
Seattle is what we said.
We're mainly hanging out
work,
in Tacoma,
but we also
because the
were mainly
county
hanging out in
was
Tacoma
different,
because
so they had different
the county
regulations
was
on
different, so they had different
type of,
regulations on
for
the
COVID.
type of
So we could actually go out
for
to a
COVID.
restaurant without
So we
having
could
a
actually
vaccine
go out
and
to a
do
restaurant
just
without
live
having a
little more free.
vaccine.
I
and
wasn't
do
even going to be able to be
just
in the
live a little
birthing
more
room,
free. I wasn't even going to be able to be in the
when my wife
birthing
gave
room
birth in Seattle.
when my wife gave birth in Seattle.
And then she
that's
ended up.
not cool.
Yeah.
Felicity was born
And then she
in Hood
ended
River,
up. Felicity
and
was
they were
born
really
in
lax,
Hood
and
River,
everybody was allowed,
and
not in
they
the
were
birthing
really
room,
lax, and everybody was allowed,
flip
not in the birthing room,
No.
just
That's what
flip
you're
it.
and
No.
but
That's what
we
you're saying.
were. I was in the birthing room.
But we
and they
were.
coulda
I was
allowed
in the
her
birthing
mother, but
room,
we just decided
and
not
they
to.
could have allowed her
And,
mother,
yeah,
but
it
we
was
just
like-
decided not to.
It was a good
And,
experience.
yeah, it
I
was
can't
like
imagine
it was
doing
a
that
it was a
whole
good
thing.
experience. I
It
can't
would've been
imagine
terrifying
doing
for her
that
to do
whole
that
thing.
alone
It would have been
with just
terrifying
doctors
for
and
her to do
nurses
that alone
and no one
with
there.
just doctors
yeah,
and
I
I can't believe
nurses
they made women do
and no
that.
one there.
Oh yeah,
I can't believe they made women do that.
We went through that where some of our friends were getting ready to give birth doing there, and it was just mother, father, and there was a point
Yeah,
where
that's
they
how it
weren't
was
even
in
let
Seattle.
dad
They
in
weren't
at
gonna
all.
let me in at
Yeah,
all.
that's how it was
And
in
it's
Seattle.
just-
They
it's
weren't going to
wrong.
let me in at all.
You know, I mean, it's wrong, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, they're trying to protect, as they say, public health.
frustrating.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because it's like you'd go down to when we went down to Atlanta, Georgia.
You'd go inside, you'd wear a mask.
No
you'd
one
sit
wore a
down at any
mask.
restaurant,
You'd go inside, you'd wear a mask,
cared.
you'd sit down at any restaurant, take the
They
mask
all
off. No
understood,
one
oh,
cared.
This is
Yep.
just kind of like
They all understood. Oh, this is just kind of like
just what we have to do.
it's like
But as soon as
just
it's
what we have to do.
call that
But as soon as it's a what do you call that?
appeasing the masses. Just gonna do it. 'cause we
Appeasing
have
the
to,
masses.
but Once you
Just
get
gonna
into
do it
these
'cause
doors,
we
we
have
don't really
to.
care.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Once you get in these
Kick it
doors,
off.
we don't
That's
really
it,
care.
dude.
Go
I think
ahead.
we did it.
Kick it off. That's
Pretty
it,
sweet little
dude.
build.
I think we
So
did
you
it.
get a couple little extra parts.
Pretty sweet
Yeah,
little build.
I got a whole
So you get a couple little
box
extra
full
parts.
of little
Yeah,
extra
I got a
parts I've
whole
collected.
box full of little
I haven't
extra
even shown
parts
you
I've
part of the
collected.
collection, but there's
I haven't
all
even
the
shown you
car-
part
all
of the
the cars
collection,
I've
but
done,
there's
they're in here,
all the
and then
car,
there's
all the
little
cars
stuff
I've
up
done.
top.
They're in here,
I've
and
actually
then
had some
there's
people
little
request
stuff
some
up
videos
top.
of my
I've actually had some people
big-
request
my
some
actual
videos
collection.
of my
But it's so
big-
massive.
my
and in
actual
many
collection.
different places,
But
I'm
it's
gonna
so
have to,
massive and
like,
in many different
do it in
places. I'm gonna
several
have
mini
to
little
like
videos.
do it
But,
in several mini
yeah.
little
Speaking
videos.
of
fun.
Speaking
But,
of Legos, I gotta
yeah.
ask you this. Have you
Yeah,
been to
speaking
That was
of
fun.
Florida yet? Speaking of Legos, I gotta ask you this:
no.
Have you been
Yeah.
to
You need
Legoland
to
in
go.
Florida yet?
So I've been to Legoland when I
no.
was a
You need
kid,
to go.
So I've
and
been to
I have not-
Legoland
I
when I
need
was a
to go.
kid,
And you want to know
and
what?
I have not. I need to go. And you want to know what? I actually have enough points on Lego's website. I can get free
in
tickets.
December when
So I
I
was supposed to go in
and
December when I
it
went to
just-
see my
with the
family,
storms, it didn't work
and
out.
it just
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
the
we got
storms it
froze
didn't
out.
work
That
out.
sucked.
I got
Freezing
Yeah.
rain.
Yeah,
we
we
got
won.
froze out.
Yeah,
That
it's
sucked.
just
Freezing
bad
rain on.
So you know,
yeah,
like how much time
it's
we
just
spent
bad
like,
timing.
on Legos.
So you know,
when I
like
was
how
a
much
kid, I
time
used
we
to play
spent
with
like
Legos,
on
Connects,
Legos.
and
So
all
like
that.
when I was a kid, I used to
I
play
like
with
Connects a
Legos,
lot.
Connects, and all that other stuff. You know,
I like
Yes.
Connects a lot.
So until you get the
But when we
blisters.
went
Yes.
down to Legoland in
So-
Florida, I remember when
But
Tron
when we went
came
down to
out,
Legoland in
Oh, yeah.
Florida, remember
they
when
had a
Tron came out?
life-size
Oh, yeah.
Tron bike.
They had a
Really?
life-size
Yeah, and you
Tron
weren't allowed
bike
to sit
in the
on
middle
it.
of the
Really?
lobby.
It was-
Yeah,
you could
and you
literally
weren't allowed to
just
sit on it, but
sit on
it was
full-
you could
Wow.
literally
I mean,
just
it was
sit on it a full
life-size.
human.
Wow.
I mean, it
always
was
fascinated
wicked
by
cool.
the whole
Life-size.
cities they would make.
I always
'cause
was
went-
fascinated by
I
the
can't
whole
remember, I was
cities they
really
would
little.
make because I went. I can't remember. I was really little.
Legoland.
But I went to
in Southern
Disneyland,
California,
or
actual
sorry, Legoland in
First
Southern
one.
California,
And,
actual Legoland.
There was so
first
many, like, they
And
had an entire
there was
city
so
of
many,
Legos.
like
And
they
all
had an
these
entire
trains and the
city
cars
of
and everything
Legos,
was
and all
automated,
these
you know,
trains
they had
and the
rails,
cars
so
and
it
everything was
like a
automated.
functioning
You know, they
city.
had rails, so
And as a
it was like
kid,
a
it was
functioning
like
city.
the
And
size
as a
of me,
kid,
like, the
it
houses
was like
were taller than me.
the size of me. Like the houses were
these were
taller
things
than
that
me.
had
The skyscrapers, like
20s,
these were
100,000
things that had
pieces in
tens
one
of
build.
20s,
It
100,000
was
pieces
so
in
that
one
blew my
build.
mind.
And it
Don't
was
knock it
so it blew my mind.
And it was
Don't
all
knock it over.
outside too.
Yeah,
Like, you
and
can't-
it was
they would
all
have to
outside
do- I don't
too.
know if
And
the
like
one
you
in Florida
can't,
is all
they would have have to do. I don't know if the one in Florida is all outside, but this was like the entire ride was all Legos, and you would ride around and look at the city and stuff. And but that was all outside. I'm thinking like, how do they? That could only happen in Southern California, where they don't get the weather, that doesn't freeze, it's not too hot, doesn't rain. I'm like, how do they do that?
Yeah, in Florida they had everything like hanging off the ceiling in the building.
That's
you could go
cool.
check out the bikes and all that, and it was really cool. Now I've never been to the one in California, but I'll have to check it out. out. I mean, we do so much traveling anyway. Like we're going down to Florida.
Perfect time. April.
This May
Don't
or
go
August.
August, dude.
perfect
do
time.
not.
April.
Don't go
Well,
August,
and it's
dude.
hurricane
Do
It's
not.
hot.
You might get
I
caught up
know.
in, like,
Well,
a
and it's
hurricane.
hurricane season, so you might
But,
get
yeah.
caught up in
They're
like a
okay.
hurricane.
Tornadoes and all that. I'm not
But,
too
yeah,
worried about a hurricane.
they're
We've been through
okay.
tornadoes and all that. I'm not
Just
too worried
about
about a
the flights.
hurricane.
No.
We're so
Yeah.
far inland. I'm
Extra
not worried.
vacation.
Just about the flights,
So,
but yeah,
hurricanes aren't that
extra
bad.
vacation.
Speaking of flights, So, we had the
hurricanes
hurricane
aren't that
coming in,
bad.
and my wife Yeah, and I speaking went of down for our flights, we 10-year had the hurricane anniversary coming by in, and my wife and I went down for We our went to 10-year anniversary Universal, we by went ourselves to, in Florida. Walt Disney We World, went to we did Universal. We
everything.
went
Went
to
to
Tampa
Bay,
Walt
Busch
Disney
Gardens.
World.
We
We
did
did
everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Went to Tampa Bay, Next Busch thing you Gardens. know, We did everything. Just the we adults. go on ahead. Next thing you know,
we're getting ready to leave.
we go on
and the
ahead,
hurricane's coming in.
and
And
we're
oh,
getting ready to
shit.
leave, and the hurricane's coming in. And
Oh,
we get
shit.
to the
We're in the park
airport,
garage. We're in the
and there's
carousel that you go
cars.
up, we're
Yeah,
parking in
park
there.
garage. We're in the
Right, there's
carousel
not
that
many
you go up. We're
cars.
parking
Yep.
in
So,
there.
we
Right,
get
there's
the
not many
airport.
cars.
type.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So we
So
get inside. There's
we
no
get in
Like
the airport.
apocalypse
We're like,
type.
yeah.
where the heck
So
are
we
all
get
these
inside.
people?
There's no one in
And so
there.
we get in
We're like,
line,
where the
and
heck
it
are all
says
these
an hour
people?
wait, and we're like,
And so
oh,
we
man,
get in
this is
line, and it
horrible.
says an hour
And the
wait. And we're
big
like, oh man,
breezeway at
this is
the
horrible.
Florida
And the
Orlando
big
International
breezeway
Airport
at the
is
Florida
huge. There's a
Orlando
hotel in
International
there and
Airport,
everything else.
it's
And we're
huge.
all the
There's
way
a
up to the
hotel
security
in
line
there
where
and
it just
everything
starts,
else.
so it's an hour
And we're
wait,
all the way up
whatever.
to the
And
security
all of a
line where
sudden
it
we
just
see a couple
starts. So it's an
people
hour
come in,
wait,
Shay and I,
whatever.
we're just talking,
And all of a sudden we
and
see a
we
couple
turn
people come in,
around.
and Shay and I we're just
It's like
talking, and we turn around.
30 wide.
It's like
the whole length all the way down. We just
30
beat this
wide,
rush.
the
And
whole
it said,
length all the
like,
way
on
down. We
timer,
just beat this
the
rush.
wait time
And
went
it
from
said
an
like on the
hour
timer,
to
the
5
wait time went
hours
from
to
like
get
an
through
hour
security.
to 5
Whoa.
Many
hours
people
to
were trying to
get
get
through
through. We had
security.
people coming up to saying,
Whoa.
That
"Give
many
us
people were trying to
$1,000
get through.
per
We had
ticket to
people
get us
coming up
out
to
of
saying,
here."
"I'll give you
And my wife's like, well,
$1,000 per
maybe
ticket
I'm
to
like,
get us
no.
out of here." And I'm
Yeah.
like,
We
dude.
got a
And my wife's
flight,
like, well,
everything
maybe
went
we. I'm
good,
like,
let's just
no,
go
No.
home.
we got
I
a flight.
told-
Everything
we
went
got
good.
caught
Let's
in
just go
Irma,
home. We're
and
not
I
in a
told
hurry.
we got caught in
After a certain amount of time, I
Irma,
was like,
and
we're not
after a
driving
certain
anymore.
amount of
And
time, I was
Alexa
like,
and I were together.
we're not driving
And
anymore.
she freaks
And
out. Any
Alexa and I were together, and she freaks out any natural disaster, anything out of her control that's like that drastic and
Which
you
it
know,
is,
life-threating.
but I grew up
very
around
big deal.
life-threatening things.
Which it
so I'm
is,
just like,
but I grew up
stay
around
calm.
life-threatening things, so I'm
And
just like,
finally,
stay
I got
calm.
to the point
It'll
where I
be
was like,
fine.
And
look, you cannot
finally, I got
go
to the point
outside.
where I was like,
you're
look,
not-
you
can't drive
cannot
outside.
go outside.
And
Like you
we're
can't
staying
drive
here, that's
outside.
it. Park
And
the cars.
We're staying here. That's
Good
it.
thing I said that.
Park the cars.
because her friend.
And good
had
thing I
got
said
in a
that
car,
because
got in a
her
car
friend
accident, too many people
had
on the
got a
road.
car,
Everyone
got in a car
frantic,
accident, too
who
many
died.
people on the road,
And
everyone
I was
frantic,
Like,
who
look, that's
died.
what I like.
And I was like, look, that's what I like. At a certain point, when there's chaos,
everyone's panicking,
breeds chaos,
it's gonna be
and
dangerous out
when
there.
everyone's panicking,
And
it's going to be
that
dangerous
5 hour
out
Easter,
there.
that's the type
And
of thing where
that 5 hour Easter, that's the
riots
type
or,
of
like,
thing
just
where
frenzied
riots
people
or
trying to
like
get to the
just
front,
frenzied
thinking their
riots,
life's on the
people
line.
trying to get to the
It can
front,
get
thinking their
scary.
life's
It
on the
can be,
line.
and you never know. Some
It
people
can
might
get
have
scary.
It can be, and you never know. Some people might have a reason behind
You
it.
get further staying
Composed.
calm.
Yeah, stay
Just-
composed.
you get
Stay
further staying
composed.
calm.
Yeah, stay
Yeah.
composed.
Now,
So,
Yeah.
and
now,
when it comes to being composed, you ever seen that video where that guy is, or that gal is getting shot at, and she leans up, it's I think that the war in Afghanistan or somewhere, she goes to shoot out the window, takes a shot, and
hit the wall like this.
you see a bullet just go
I have not
bang,
seen
hit the
that.
wall
She
like
literally
this far
turns
from
around,
her
sits
head.
down,
I have
starts
not
laughing.
seen that.
She literally
Holy
turns around,
shit.
sits down, starts
Like, it was
laughing.
funny, and they're all
Like
laughing
it was
too,
funny.
and they're
Like it
just
was funny.
calm
And
as
they're
hell.
all
That's
laughing
crazy.
too.
Crazy.
And
And
they're
they
just
just sit
calm
down
as
there,
could
they're
be.
holding
And
their
they're just
rifles,
sitting
they're
there.
crazy.
And they
They're
just sit
calm
down
as
there.
could
They're
be.
holding their rifles and they're
You
just
almost had
waiting.
your head
They're
taken off.
calm as could
I
be.
was listening
I'm
to
going,
a
you almost had
podcast
your head
where a
taken
Yeah.
off.
soldier,
I was
ex-Marine
listening to a
was talking like,
podcast where a soldier,
yes,
ex-Marine, was talking like,
get complacent.
yes,
you
you actually get complacent because you get too comfortable in the most of dangerous of situations and get complacent like that and kind of like laugh things off or be sitting in the middle of a road in a gunfight. You're like, dude, get out of, what are you doing? Get covered.
But I wanted to
And yeah, that's
sidebar,
wild.
you're
But I
just
wanted
calling,
to
like,
sidebar.
Legoland
You're talking
and
about
things
like the
hanging. Have you been
Legos,
to the
Legoland, and things
Smithsonian's
hanging. Have you
in
been
DC,
to the
or have you done
Smithsonian's
spent any time
in
touring
DC, or
Washington,
have you
DC?
done spent spent any time touring Washington, D.C.?
We were up there, but we never. We avoided Washington D.C. because we went to check out like there were some rough areas when we went up in there. We went to check out like the nation's capital and all that, and it's amazing. Like you go from poverty to the capital, and it's surrounded by poverty. So we just avoided the whole area. We never really did.
So I went there for my 8th grade graduation trip. The main point and we had a all fundraise, but the main point was going there. And like I said, I loved history and stuff.
After doing that, it changed my life.
I think that after doing that, it changed my life. I think that everybody, if you're an American citizen, you should, before you die, go there and do a tour of all of the things. Like, do the tourist stuff. Don't go there to hang out, try and stay away from certain areas. Like, when we went to the reflective pool, there's dead ducks in it. I was like, dude, in like major pure algae. I was like, whoa, this is not what you see in Forrest Gump.
I
was like, this is so
the monuments
gross.
were cool.
But
the monuments were cool.
But the coolest thing was doing all the
Air Museum
Smithsonians
and
and like the Air Museum and the prehistoric, like the Dinosaur Museum and all the Smithsonian museums, and like going to the National Archives and seeing the founding documents. That was eerie. That was like a really cool moment.
There's stuff like that that would change your life.
There's a lot.
There's stuff like that that would change your life. Just seeing like this thing still runs this country because it's all in a dark room, low lit, because it's all on hemp paper.
You can't flash,
and so it can easily be like you can't flash photography in there.
It was cool.
It's
going
like
down to
it's just really it was cool. Going down to the center of the Capitol, you go all the way in the basement, and there's a star, and they wanted to bury George Washington there. And if I'm recalling this correctly, but his wife wanted him. I think he's at the like actual
they put him
cemetery or whatever. They put him with his family, I think. But they wanted. So there's this star in the very center of the Capitol. In the basement,
that's cool.
And that's
That's
like
cool.
the center,
That's speaking
all
of
the way
basement.
up.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's speaking of basement. Like we went to Paris, France. We went to the Louvre, the museum over there, and I was like, "Oh, it's a museum, whatever. I don't really care."
You find your way around, and then
got in there.
You find your way around, and then there's this one area where you can either take an elevator or stairs, and it goes way down.
The Louvre was
And
like a castle.
you don't realize it, but the Louvre was like a castle. It had a moat, it didn't have water in it, but had a moat all the way around it. And there's one section in the museum where you walk through it, and it's completely covered, air conditioned, and I was dying because nothing in France has air conditioning.
It's
horrible.
But
it's kind of like here.
The Uber driver.
No. The Uber drivers would leave their arm out the window with the windows down and just BO blowing.
they really?
Oh no, no
even
AC in the cars and the restaurants, nothing. Everyone just sweat all the time. I wonder why everyone's standing. They walk everywhere and they sweat. And so we're down in this thing, down in the moat, and you're looking at these stone walls that are like 40 feet high with a ceiling across it now. And you're walking down there and you're thinking about how many people tried to infiltrate that and died right where you're standing. And you're looking around and you see all the history and how the blocks were moved and everything else. It's mind-blowing. Same as the monument here. If you get a chance to learn about history, we always get told by social media what they think it should be, but you actually go in and learn about it. It's eerie.
It was really cool going where Lincoln got shot. What was that theater? The Ford Theater or whatever?
Something like that.
And huge part of history. That was crazy. That's a huge part of history. And to be just like staring at that. We went in, but like just being on the street, like
time. This was standing.
This was
then,
that
and this
time. This was standing then, and this like changed the entire trajectory of our country.
Yeah,
in that moment, in that room.
Yeah, there's
So
a lot
weird.
of lost history too. People aren't aware of.
That's another reason I wanted to go to Europe, is because I want to go stick my finger in the bullet holes and the bunkers on the beach in Normandy, and like just try and take in what that must have been like.
Yeah, and when you go into Paris, France, there's so much history, you will get lost in it. Like the cathedrals, you look at these stone,
how did they get these
massive cathedrals? How did they get these curved blocks to stand on their own? I don't know how they did it, and you're looking at it, and you're going, there's
stone above my head.
I don't know, a million pounds of stone above my head, and it's 100 feet to the ceiling.
And you know how modern, you know how cranes operate, you know geometry, you know how physics of building structures.
And
you're like, what? That's why.
How did they do it? Yeah.
I said Rome.
That's why I want to go.
Vatican.
I said Rome, but also like the Vatican.
Ceilings were painted.
Oh yeah,
you'll see the entire ceilings were painted by one man.
It's a city within a
and they have like
within a city.
It's a city within a city. It's its own country within a city. Like that's an incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible.
A lot of history.
A lot of history. And like when you go around Europe, one day you'll get out there, and when you do, you'll go to all these different chateaus and these castles and palaces and all this stuff that's all around there, and you can see like the
money that went
the
into
power and money that went into one structure, and then you have another like I'd say district, and the power and money in that, and you go to one where you're like, this place sounds amazing. You go there, it's just a small little chateau. When you compare to the others,
and then you go to one that's
still
like
10,000 square feet, and then you go to one that's like 2 million or
3 million square feet,
huge
and
gates and all the stuff, and you read
these
history boards,
huge gates and all the stuff, and you read the history boards on all these places around France, and it's just incredible. And like when you go to France, if you ever go to Paris, go north out of the city, and I'll look up the name of the town for you.
Okay.
There's a little restaurant there, and they make a wood fired lasagna outside the
Whoa.
restaurant. They have the
That's
best
cool.
They have the best beer. They had a Ferrari of all things. This is where I want to try and finish up with. They had a red Ferrari outside. I was gooking and gawking at. Of course, no one knows what I'm saying. I'm speaking English, and they're all speaking French. And so I'm looking around the car, and I take a picture of it, and the guy waves. Obviously, the guy who owns the car, And then we sit down in this restaurant, and they bring out this lasagna, and it's the size of this booklet, but like that thick. I mean, you're talking a big chunk of lasagna, and you can taste the smoke flavor and all the stuff in it. And when we're leaving, I walk around, and I see the kid, our waiter, he's out there running the pans out of the wood fire grill behind the restaurant outside.
That's awesome.
Yeah, remember, no AC, no nothing, but you can smell the smoke. You can see there was an old Frenchman there, and he had a yellow like knit sweater with a white scarf around his neck, and he's gooking and gawking, he's all grumpy and whatnot. And the lady that owns the restaurant and all her waiters are kind of laughing at him because, like, hey, he's a grumpy old man, And we're just in there having the time of our lives. So if you ever go out there, you want to see a red Ferrari of all things, I'll tell you where to go.
That's cool.
That's
really cool. It was way cool.
Well, shit, man, that's fucking been about that's 2 hours right there. And that was a killer. I liked how interactive you got with the Lego build. That was good. Not everybody actually puts their hands on it that much. So that was fun to see. And I enjoyed the conversation. And in fact, we'll pick it up. Get dinner ready, and then we'll bring over these pork loins, and we'll have dinner at your house.
Yep, that's a podcast.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yep, that's a podcast. Peace.